Your plan was perfect. Every variable was isolated. Every contingency mapped. The architecture was elegant, a cathedral of logic. The launch sequence was timed to the millisecond, a synchronized cascade of press releases, social media posts, and partner emails, all designed to converge on a single point in time, creating a wave of momentum so powerful it would seem effortless. You watched the clock. 3, 2, 1, execute. And for a moment, it was perfect. The initial metrics were flawless. Then, the first hairline crack appeared. A third-party payment gateway, one you've used 100 times, began returning an intermittent 503 error. Trivial. The system was designed to retry, but the retries created a small queue. That queue caused a minor lag in the user authentication service. New users, drawn in by the perfect marketing wave, saw a spinner, not for a minute, just for 5 seconds. Long enough. They hit refresh. Some hit it twice, 3 times. This small surge of user-generated retries compounded the initial lag. The database connections, budgeted for a smooth, linear onboarding, began to spike. An automated scaling policy, designed for organic growth, misinterpreted the spike as a denial-of service attack and throttled the server. Now, the spinner wasn't 5 seconds. It was 30. The perfect wave of new users crashed against a digital wall. On social media, the first posts appeared. Site down. Then, is this a scam? Your flawless launch, the product of 6 months of relentless work, was now a public spectacle of failure. And you, the architect, could do nothing but watch as your perfect plan disintegrated into chaos. All because of a series of small, unpredictable, and utterly mundane failures. You call this bad luck. You call it Murphy's Law. You search for a single point of failure, a single person to blame for the collapse. You are looking in the wrong direction. The Prussian general and military theorist, Carl von Clausewitz, had a name for this phenomenon. He did not call it bad luck. He called it friction. In his masterwork on war, he wrote that everything in war is very simple, but the simplest thing is difficult. Immense friction, which is not concentrated in a few points, but is everywhere present, is the force that makes the apparently easy so difficult. Friction is the chasm between the blueprint and the battlefield. It is the universal, grinding law of chaos that acts upon all human endeavor. It is not one single thing. It is the infinite accumulation of small things. A misunderstood order. A sudden downpour that turns a road to mud. A soldier's momentary fear. A supply wagon with a broken axle. A server that fails to respond. Amateurs and ideologues create their plans in a vacuum, a frictionless world of pure theory. They fall in love with their own intellectual elegance. They believe that a perfect plan, perfectly executed, will yield a perfect result. This is the arrogance of the novice. Friction is not a possibility. It is a certainty. It is a fundamental law of the universe, as real and as constant as gravity. To plan without accounting for it is to plan for a world that does not exist. The question is not if friction will dismantle your plan. The question is when, and what you will do when it happens. So why does your will shatter when confronted by this force? The diagnosis is simple. You have tied your ego, your very sense of self, to the plan, not to the objective. When the plan begins to fail, you feel that you are failing. Your mind, which should be cold, clear, and focused on solutions, is instead consumed by emotion, anger, panic, the desperate need to find who is at fault. You try to force reality back into the shape of your beautiful, broken plan. You issue orders that no longer apply to the situation on the ground. You freeze. Your will is brittle because it is attached to a brittle object. The cure is not a better plan. The cure is a superior will, a will forged in two parts. First, you must build what the Stoics called the inner citadel. This is a fortress of the mind, and its foundation is a ruthless devotion to the objective and a complete tactical detachment from the path to get there. Your plan is not a sacred text. It is a hypothesis. It is your best guess, based on the information you had yesterday. Today, on contact with reality, you have new information. The old plan is now obsolete. Discard it. The amateur, when faced with an obstacle, asks, "How do I get back on my plan?" Their mind is fixed on the past. The master, when faced with the same obstacle, asks, "Given this new reality, what is the most direct path to my objective?" The objective was never to execute the launch plan. The objective was to successfully launch the product. The plan was merely a tool. When the tool breaks, you do not curse the tool. You pick up another. This detachment of intent from method is the source of all tactical genius. It makes you fluid, adaptable, and impossible to predict. While your rival is still trying to salvage their rigid strategy, you have already changed course 3 times, flowing around obstacles like water, always moving toward your goal. The plan is disposable. The will is absolute. Second, you must build a friction buffer into your systems. A superior will is useless without the capacity to act. Building a buffer is not pessimism. It is the highest form of professionalism. It is the explicit acknowledgement that friction is real and the strategic allocation of resources to absorb its impact. What does this look like? It means having backup servers ready before the primary ones are even stressed. It means cross-training your team so the loss of one person does not create a critical point of failure. It means holding 10% of your budget in an unallocated reserve, purely for unforeseen problems. It means having pre-drafted crisis communications, so you are controlling the narrative while others are still asking what happened. A surgeon does not hope the patient won't bleed. He assumes the patient will bleed and surrounds himself with clamps, gauze, and a surplus of blood. He architects a system that expects and absorbs friction. He can remain calm and precise with the scalpel because he has already prepared for chaos. Your systems must reflect this same cold professional foresight. Build in slack, build in redundancy, build a buffer. Give your will the room it needs to maneuver when the inevitable storm arrives. Do you understand? The objective is not to create a perfect, frictionless machine. That is a fool's errand. The world is, and always will be, a place of grinding, unpredictable friction. Lesser men are broken by this. They design fragile plans and are surprised when they shatter. They curse the universe for being unfair. They will evaporate at the first sign of resistance. But true power, true command, is not found in avoiding friction. It is found in forging a will so hard, an intent so pure, and a system so resilient, that it generates more force than the friction it encounters. The storm will come. It always does. The amateur hopes to weather it. The master intends to command it. The best plan is to be the one who needs no plan, because your will has become the only factor that matters.